So back in January, Razer bought Nextbit, the company that made the Robin, an awesome and quirky phone, and since that acquisition, Razer's been kind of silent about what their mobile plans were. Well now we know. Meet the Razer phone. And in typical Razer fashion, there's a lot crammed into this completely aluminum shell. So Razer took a different approach to the design. A lot of manufacturers are going bezel-less and rounded curves and rounded screen. Razer's got a more industrial approach. The phone is made out of the same material that's in their laptop, so it feels premium and it's got a cool metal feel to it. It's also more rectangular than what we've seen before. It looks very reminiscent to what we saw with the Robin, quite obviously. You've got a fingerprint reader in the middle of the phone on the right-hand side you can press in. It's really nice to have it there. And then you've got two buttons on top, almost identical to what we saw on the Robin. They're located right square in the middle of the phone because Razer tells us this phone's meant to be used when you're playing games or watching movies in landscape. All right, so let me get this one out of the way because there's gonna be a billion questions. It's gonna cost $699, but you're gonna get a lot for that money. You're gonna get 64 gigs of internal storage. Of course, you can expand it up to, I think it goes up to 2 terabytes right now. Typical Razer fashion, they wanted to cram a lot in here. So you've got 8 gigs of DDR4 RAM, which is insane to have. The screen is where a lot of the story, I think, takes place. It's a 5.72-inch IGZO LCD panel. It's 2K, so 1440 by 2560. Where things get a little bit interesting though is with the refresh rate. It's 120 hertz here. And what that's gonna mean in like real world usage and not just on a spec sheet, scrolling through stuff is gonna look incredibly smooth. And it's not like a psychosomatic, it looks better, but it doesn't really. When you try this phone, when you can get it in a store, you pick one up and start scrolling through anything, it looks incredibly smooth. And also when you're watching movies or YouTube videos, because of higher refresh rate, things should look also smoother. It tends to be the theme of the Razer phone. They also went for a wide color gamut. So where other devices might give you kind of a bluish hue to the whites, this is gonna look actually white. So all that stuff is great, but I think since it's Razer, the big reason behind that refresh rate is when it comes to games, it's a variable refresh rate. So if you're playing a game that needs the full 120, you can do it. It'll scale itself down as well if you're using something that doesn't need the full refresh rate. It's kind of dynamic. So you can get an insane refresh rate on a phone. It's certainly gonna drain battery, which I should mention is 4,000 milliamp hours. So you're getting a big old battery in this device. Other specs are things you'd expect from flagships right now. It's got the Snapdragon 835 with the Adreno 540 built into it. So on the camera front, it's got 3 of them, and as is in vogue right now, it's got 2 on the back. Both are 12 megapixel, one's wide angle, and one is telephoto. 8 megapixel on the front. It's shipping with Android Nougat out of the box. Razer's been pretty good with updates on their laptop, so I'd presume they get pretty good with updates on the phone as well. And they did say on the record, they got plans for Oreo soon, so we're gonna hold them to that. But one of the cool things on the software front, the phone is actually shipping out of the box with Nova Prime as the default launcher, which is awesome. If you haven't used Nova, it's my go-to for launchers. It works really well, and out of the box, swiping to the right, it's also gonna give you Google Now. So looking at this phone, you're gonna notice gigantic speakers on the top and the bottom. And this isn't like a fake grill to sort of psych you out. These are gigantic speakers that we had a chance to test out here in Techno Buffalo offices, and they wouldn't let us benchmark it to see how loud they got because our unit's still a little running some pre-production software. But it got really loud, and I think more impressively than the volume, it didn't sound tinny. It had a lot of bass, especially coming from a phone. It's not gonna replace your home theater system, but if you want a phone that sounds really good and maybe use it to play some songs for some friends, the Razer phone does a really nice job with it. So rounding out the specs, no headphone jack, it does have USB-C, and they're gonna give you in the box a dongle. And if you plug in said dongle, you're gonna get a THX certified 24-bit DAC. So you can get some high quality audio in those cans. Pre-orders are available now, link to it down below. It's gonna be shipping on November 17th. At least in the US, the phone will work right out of the box with AT&T and T-Mobile. No CDMA support here, unfortunately, for Verizon and Sprint. I did ask Razer about that, and they said probably not. So if you want to pick up this phone, either switch to AT&T or T-Mobile, or if you're on those 2 carriers, then the thumbs up for you. So while the phone looks and feels pretty awesome, there are some things here that might leave you scratching your head and wondering why. First, there is no waterproofing here. Razer said it's because of the mesh on the speaker grills, and also it's metal on the back. You're not going to have wireless charging. So if one or both of those things are important to you, you can be a little bit disappointed. So no wireless charging for me is a bummer, but when you do plug it in to charge it, you're gonna get access to Qualcomm's QuickCharge 4 Plus, so it'll charge fast, is really what it boils down to. And the last I mentioned, Bluetooth 4.2, it doesn't have Bluetooth 5.0 in here. So if you need that long-range Bluetooth or you wanna share music with a friend, it's not here. So here's the deal with the phone, at least for me, and why it kind of stands out a little bit. So at that $699 price point, it's not the cheapest phone in the world, and it's competing against really the creme de la creme of flagships. You want to get this phone if that screen matters to you. Seeing the refresh is awesome. If you watch a lot of movies on your phone, you think you might play a ton of mobile games, incredible device. If you consume a lot of content, you're going to want to look at this phone. If you're creating a lot of content, you may want to see what else is available. If wireless charging is important to you, if you take your phone in the snow or skiing, then you're going to want to make sure you get a phone that has sort of that IP certification in here. It's competing in really crowded waters, especially at that price point. But the speakers are awesome, the screen is really good. We'll see how that fares though in our full review. But first impression, I feel pretty positive about the Razer phone. It's not cheap, and it's not bringing everything to the table you can get with competitors, but what it does, it appears to do well. But is that enough for you guys to want to pick it up? Again, it's $699. We'll put all the links down below if you want to pre-order one. And if you can pick one up on November 17th when those pre-orders start to arrive. Let me know what you guys think and let us know especially what you want us to test as we got this guy in our lab. We'll put it through the paces. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give the video a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Until next time, I'm John Rettinger from Tech from Buffalo.